Youth Sports Network presents Touchdown Ontario with Devin Gilmore McNeil.
Welcome back to Touchdown Ontario and the OSFL Roundup. What a weekend it was in the Ontario Summer Football League as we look ahead to this weekend's U12 and U10 Championship games. I'm joined here by Jesse Card, Shane McDonald, and Darren Stevenson. Darren, I'll start with you. Huge matchup at U10 AA with Brantford heading to Waterloo. An absolute shootout that Brantford comes away with the win. What were your thoughts on that game over the weekend?
It was a heck of a football game. Really, Brantford was the team that came out on top, but it was a back-and-forth battle. I want to shout out Anderson Kellum, who is the Bison's quarterback. He had 4 touchdowns. They kind of went back and forth. Carter Ninneber was the Warriors' U10 quarterback. He did his usual, get to the outside, scoot, and he's gone. But 54-40 was the final for the Bisons. You really didn't know, Devin coming in, who was going to win this game. 2 really competitive teams, 2 really good teams. Brantford kind of said that they were the underdogs. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it on 519 Sports, but we interviewed Anderson Kellum after the game, the quarterback that I mentioned there a minute ago. His clip's great. He was so full of passion. He's like, this is important. This is the playoffs. And they were super proud. They were dumping water on each other during their post-game interview. So Brantford will go to the championship weekend coming up, like you said there, this coming weekend at Alumni Stadium in Guelph. Really a fun game. And obviously U10 football is just kind of fun to watch overall, but really good effort by Brantford. Dave Millett, their head coach, said he was super proud of what they accomplished, and that's not to take anything away from Waterloo either. They had a phenomenal season, and if they can keep that team together over the next couple of years, I know we're talking about U10 football, but if they can keep that team together over the next couple of years, the U10 Warriors going forward, I think, are going to be a pretty good force to be reckoned with.
Now, Darren, talk a little bit about, the branding of the Warriors being affiliated with the university. I see at all the levels when we see the 519 Sports and the interviews, there's some pride there around being a Warrior and, being a new kind of upstart franchise. Do you think that the university affiliation has really reinforced that for the kids?
They have great facilities, and that's one of the things is that they're playing all of their games now at Warrior Field. Obviously, it's a beautiful stadium. On the turf there, renovated, put in new turf there a couple of years ago. I certainly do think it's made a difference, Jesse, in terms of the growth of the program. You look at the U14 team, they're unbeaten. U16, they're also unbeaten. They'll go to the semifinals this weekend, and they'll both play at home, the U14-16 Junior Warriors at Warrior Field. So absolutely, man. I think that, they had a good program before. I think this has really elevated it, and the black and gold, and I think there's certainly a lot of pride around the Junior Warriors right now. They've had a great season, pretty much at all levels. So, the direct benefits I think you can't really measure when it comes to the different impacts that this has had on the organization, but they are certainly riding high right now, and they've got 2 teams at U14 and U16. That could definitely go all the way. They're about to have, obviously, their toughest games this season. You get to this time of year, it's hard. You're going to face a good football team on the other side. And sometimes you don't know kind of the other teams in the East because you don't really see them throughout the course of the year. But everything that I've seen and the 519 crew has seen from the 14 and 16 Warriors, they got 2 pretty special teams. Tyson Siddle, the U16 Warriors head coach, he's a great guy, real defensive guy. Josh Alexander's the U14 coach. He's been around coaching in local high school football circles for as long as I can remember. Also coached with Laurier, back in the early 2000s. So they've built something pretty incredible. Part of that is the people for sure, but also part of that is definitely kind of the facilities and, like you said, Jesse, the Warrior pride they kind of got right now.
Now, Anderson Kellum, that interview that you prefaced, what a fantastic speaker. He's so excited. I hope we can get him on camera a few more times as they continue on in the season. But is he not going to be on your crew in another year or 2 here, Darren, I think?
The way he was speaking the other day, yeah, why wouldn't he be on my crew? God, he'd be a great halftime show host for UISN or 519 Sports. Cool thing about Anderson, too, his older brother, Carter, he plays for the U18 AA Bisons. They're unbeaten. They won this past Saturday, so they'll go to the semifinals this weekend and have a home game. Anderson Kellum plays U10 Brantford. Carter Kellum, his older brother, plays U18. He was part of the Bison's U18 graduating player ceremony on Saturday night, and he's going to go play OUA football as well. So tons of talent, shall we say, in the Kellum family, and I think it's just getting started for Anderson. He was a force to be reckoned with, I'll tell you. On Saturday, that kid can motor, and he was a big difference maker in the U10 Bisons, picking up that win over the Warriors. We'll see what happens this weekend. Again, you get yourself into a championship game. Who knows? Who knows what the weather's going to be like? Obviously, all of us hope for sunshine and a couple of clouds to kind of cool us off a little bit. But yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, Darren. I was just looking, and it looks good so far. Like 27, 28 sunshine this weekend in Guelph.
Perfect. Yeah, and honestly, this Brantford team, we'll see what ends up happening. But again, they've got a good chance. They've shown a lot over the course of the season. I think they've kind of grown. They've really kind of gelled together at the right time of the year, and that's really what it takes, right? When you get down to this time of year, which team is kind of the most camaraderie? And tackling is huge in U10 football, right? If you can't get that contained, and the quarterback or the running back's able to get to the outside, that's tough. And that's one of the things I thought the Brantford defense did really well on Saturday in that U10 game, is they were able to kind of, keep the Warriors inside. They weren't able to do their usual outside runs with Samuel Hoyt, Scott Kachik, Carter Ninneber, the quarterback who I mentioned there a couple of minutes ago. That Waterloo team had a ton of weapons. They did put up 40 points, and obviously that's not to take anything away from, what Waterloo did. But I thought there was a couple of occasions where the Brantford defense really stepped up, and I think that's ultimately why the Bisons, ended up getting the win and going to the championship.
Well, I would just be worried about 40 points put up on Guelph, or on Brantford. Sorry, that's something that I think it's going to be the deciding factor here is how well that defense plays in the championship game.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the other side of the bracket here, guys, another team that you're very familiar with, Darren, the Guelph Junior Griffins, were playing Peterborough in the other side of the semifinal bracket. They lose that game. Peterborough, I know you've seen them a few times this season playing other teams that you cover. Just another great season for Guelph, great season at all levels. That U10 team, though, what do you think about that game and what went wrong for Guelph there? And maybe in your opinion, seeing both Peterborough and seeing Brantford, what do you expect in that championship matchup this weekend?
It's so hard to say, Devin. Again, we're talking about U10 football. That Guelph team had a lot of talented players as well. Good coaching, good kids, a lot of passion. Like you said there a minute ago, junior Griff football. We talk about the Warrior Field facilities, and I think everybody who's watching this who hasn't been to Guelph yet, to Alumni Stadium, and I know a lot of people are going to travel from a lot of different places across the province for this U10 U12 Championship weekend, I can simply say you are in for a treat. Alumni Stadium is an absolutely beautiful football facility. They have food trucks outside. There's lots of parking across the street. It's kind of like it's an experience, and you walk up to the stadium. They got nice murals on the side of the stadium, and they got a little football field out front. They really take their tradition seriously, and it's and that's at the OUA level. Obviously, it's where the big Griffins play. Let's call them, but they certainly take a lot of pride in that. And that U10 team had a great season, and I can't wait to see the U12 Junior Griffins in the championship game this weekend. David Samuel, let me bring up that kid, beast of a running back, playing for the U12 Griffins. Here's the other thing about Guelph. You talk a lot about their U12 run game because of David Samuel. Josh Cummings, their quarterback, that kid can sling the rock down the field too. So they're kind of multi-dimensional. Again, we'll see what happens this coming weekend when you get into a championship game. But there is buzz in Guelph. There's buzz in Guelph, just to host an event of this magnitude. So to the kickoff to the Summer Cup. There's buzz there, and then obviously there's buzz with the U12 Junior Griffins that are going to play this in the championship game this weekend. Talk about U14. They won on Saturday in their, quarterfinal game. U16 went on the road in Guelph. They picked up a win. And then the U18s played on Sunday, and they had an amazing performance. They beat Huronia 31-7. So, shout out to the Griffins. They're doing good things, in terms of, winning and building and developing players. And I can't wait for y'all to see Alumni Stadium this weekend because it's great, and it's going to be a fun weekend with lots of good football.
Well, Shane, as a former quarterback, even at the U10 and U12 levels, what are nerves like entering a big championship game, do you think, for these young lads? Like Darren said, you walk up to the, as good of a stadium as you can get, really, an OUA facility, grandstands. They put the branding into the facility and into the field. I mean, even though they're the OUA Griffins on the wall and on the decals, you can't help but imagine yourself walking up like you're in the NFL. So what do you think? What would you say if you were talking to these young quarterbacks and players?
Yeah.
What would you be giving them in terms of advice leading up to this weekend?
Yeah, like Darren was saying, like the parking lot, and you're getting there with your parents. Try to get there early, I'd say, and just absorb it all. Thinking back when I was a player, we played U18 championship game at the Hamilton Tiger Cats Stadium back in the day, and even that was an overwhelming experience. We had our warm up in the parking lot. There was a practice field, and then we're in this big stadium, and your eyes are bright and the lights are on. So try to get there early, adjust, and just have fun. It's the same field, it's the same dimensions, but just try to lead your team up, because a lot of players might have a bit of nerves in a big stadium and a lot more fans watching that game. But have fun, and picture yourself like you're playing on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday afternoons like the big guys do. So have fun with it and go out there and play.
Well, Alumni Field's going to be hopping, just like maybe Ivor Wynn back in the day.
No, fellas, I think we should kind of wrap up the U10 and U12 segment by giving everyone the matchups that we'll be seeing this weekend at Alumni Stadium in Guelph. So you have what we just mentioned. You have Brantford playing Peterborough at the U10 AA level. And then you head over to U10 AAA. You have the Burlington Stampeders facing the London Junior Mustangs. A very epic rivalry at some older divisions. It's nice to see that kind of get rekindled here at the younger divisions. And then Darren just mentioned the U12 Guelph Junior Griffins, led by David Samuel, will be playing Niagara in that U12 AA matchup.
Yeah, Durham and London. So, I'm excited about this one too at U12. There's a lot of pride in these two football organizations. As same with Burlington and London. I mean, I think the thing that I key on in those games is that there are huge communities behind these franchises and these kids playing football. So like when you get them, you only have like one chance to play in a championship every year if you're lucky. And when you get kind of a key rival like Burlington versus London, I mean, there's a lot of pride on the line here. So that's going to be really fun to key on.
Absolutely. And I think if we look at the weekend in its entirety, guys, let's set the stage for the announcement now. Heard it here first. 519 along with TYSM will be at Alumni Stadium this weekend in Guelph, streaming all of these championship games. Jesse, you've been to a lot of these games. Darren, you've been to a lot of these games, streaming these games. What do these championship games mean, not only for the players and the coaches, but for the fans that may not get to travel there and get to see these games live on a TYSN and on a 519 YouTube channel? What does that mean for the parents?
Well, I'll start by saying, I growing up playing football in Ontario and Ottawa, I did play in the OSFL, so I got that experience of traveling to some of these new cities and playing football and seeing the support for the football in those areas. But I think the knock on Canada is that we don't take sports that seriously. And here we are talking about a U10 and U12 championship game in Guelph. We've got coverage across the province, and we've got some amazing athletes and coaches playing. So I think it means a lot to be able to tune into this community and the fact that it's not just your local, Guelph association that's participating in this. You get a chance to kind of put your product in front of an entire province and tap into a bigger community. So I think that's what's really exciting to people.
Before I carry forward on Jesse's thought, I would also like to shout out the U12 Single A Brantford Bisons. They will play in the championship game this weekend coming up in Guelph. They were home this past Saturday. They had a really good performance They beat the Niagara Generals to advance to that championship game. Things didn't swing in the favor of the U12 AA Bisons, but congratulations to the U12 single A Bisons. They'll be going to Alumni Stadium this weekend. Here's a couple of names: Mike Farigo, Sandra Mutzi, Chaz Douglas, Dave Webb. These are all the people behind the scenes in Guelph who are going to make a huge difference in making this weekend successful. And this is fun. It's supposed to be fun. It is fun. I hope we get a bunch of really close games. Jesse, obviously you're going to be kind of managing the stream and making sure everything's going out through the TYSN YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to that. I'm going to be down in the field collecting interviews and getting some pictures and just trying to kind of get an overall feel kind of down there, and just the celebration and just the excitement. These are kids playing football. There will be highs and there will be lows. But at the end of the day, let's celebrate football in Guelph this weekend for these youngsters. Let's have a great weekend full of awesome content. I'll be splashing it on 519. I know Devin will have his hands ready. He'll have his fingers ready. He'll be sharing and liking, through the TYSN channels. Jesse, you'll be there. So I don't know. I just think it's come a really, really long way in the last, let's say 5 years, in terms of having access to this kind of stuff through a live stream. When I was growing up, and I'm sure you're the same, Jesse and Shane, there was no such thing as a live stream of championship games across the province that was viewable by all the parents and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and everything else. So what a unique opportunity for these young athletes, obviously to showcase themselves and showcase their team this weekend in Guelph. But what a cool opportunity too, to be, broadcast right on TYSN, and we'll be there to do all the interviews. And yeah, I don't know. I just can't wait. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's an awesome facility. Guelph's done a great job, getting things organized and getting everything ready. It will be a first-rate football experience for everybody that's there. I don't know, guys. Let's go. Can't wait.
Well, one thing I'll mention, I'll maybe ask Shane to weigh in on this too, though. Having said all that, at the end of the day, these are U10 boys and girls, U12. We have to keep things in check, I think, and at times football people are very passionate, but at the end of the day, this is an opportunity for the entire province and really everyone to see the product, which is football, the sport, and how coaches and parents act in the stands and on the field is critical, right? We have to keep things in perspective. It's for the kids, and at the end of the day, adults are expected to behave like adults. So Shane, maybe just a quick kind of touch point on kind of that and maybe some advice to the coaches and the parents this weekend, and also just like decorum online on the stream and in the chats. Let's keep things classy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it is your Super Bowl. We understand that, and it's important to, like we said, we're celebrating this weekend. It's a football celebration at a neutral site. So, make noise, have fun, cheer on your team, and there's a reason why you guys are at that position. So the way you guys behave and the organizations represent themselves is true to who these two finalists are in each of the age groups. So another reminder to our referees that are traveling to this location, it's really important that we understand that they're doing the best they can, and we're helping develop them in a situation where a lot of these referees are younger referees and less developed in their progress, and they referee these younger ages. So it's a time for them also to perform, and we're really excited with this weekend in Guelph and bringing that momentum from the fans, the organizations, and the referees, and the celebration of football into the Waterloo weekend for the older ages.
Yeah, and I think just, the hashtag that Football Ontario is pushing forward for the last few years, all in. Like, we're all in this together, the officials, the parents, the players, the coaches, the administrators, the media. Like, we're developing this for one another together. So let's keep that in mind. It's not us versus them, even though the games can get competitive. So I just want to also highlight that we're starting the week, and the Football Ontario Mega Raffle Gridiron Gold online 50/50s at $98,440. The winner taking just short of 50 grand here. So what we noticed last year heading into the Summer Cup with the U14 to U18s is that I think the raffle did about 100 grand over that weekend or more. So I think now we're starting to see that reach a fever pitch, and already this morning I think there's been a couple $1,000s sold. So I'm curious to see what we do in Guelph, but if you haven't gotten a raffle ticket already, get over and follow online, find the link, pick up some tickets, because you could potentially win a life-changing sum of money. And also, the clubs are the beneficiaries, so that's going to be able to go into certification for coaches, officials, and possibly equipment for next year and jerseys. So this is also part of us building up the sport provincially. Devin, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. And what I'll say here to kind of wrap up the weekend is, congratulations to all these programs and all these teams. It's a big honor to be able to represent your program in an Ontario-wide, football league and represent that logo on your chest, right? And get to represent these programs and play for a championship game, like you said, Jess. It's doesn't come around often, right? Like we all know that as playing football, and it comes around once in a blue moon. So cherish the moment, cherish the opportunity, and also want to say thank you to Guelph, like Darren said, for hosting this weekend and the beautiful facilities they have, and for hosting us with welcome arms and making sure everyone has the best experience as possible. Everyone, stay tuned for the details on the streams and the links and the days and the times. We have a lot of great football happening this weekend. Jesse, Darren, everyone on site's going to take care of us and make sure we get the best viewing possible for the weekend. But yeah, other than that, I'm excited for U10 and U12 Championship weekend. Darren, I want to thank you for your time, and everyone make sure you go check out 519 if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. Darren, if you want to wrap it up anyway, and I'll send it to you.
Buy raffle tickets, like Jesse was saying. Support's a good cause. You can win a lot of money. And let's have a fun weekend in Guelph. Like Shane was saying, everybody gets excited. I get it's a championship game or championship games. I think there's 7 of them overall on Saturday and Sunday. Let's just have a great weekend celebrating the sport that we all love, right? And whether it's covering it, coaching it, reffing it, being a parent, being involved in it, it's sort of a festival style weekend. Obviously, the weather, like you said, Jesse, is probably going to be pretty good. So obviously, that'll make things fun as well. And then we'll gear up for the 14, 16, and 18 championship weekend. I know we'll probably touch on that maybe next week sometime, heading into champ weekend at the University of Waterloo. I just want to say, obviously, thanks for you guys' support. It's been great getting to work alongside you guys. Can't wait to see you this weekend, Jesse. And let's do the best we can to promote these kids, promote these teams, and continue to grow, continue to develop football, and do things the right way. Obviously, we had a really hectic, busy weekend this past weekend, trying to keep track of who was winning and who was going where. But I'm super excited to see, from my point of view, from sort of the local teams that we cover here in our area, to have Brantford U12 Single A in the championship, to have the Guelph U12 AA in the championship, and the U10 Bisons. Again, big win on Saturday over Waterloo. That's how we started this conversation. And I'll end it with, great performance by the U10 Bisons, and can't wait to see what they do this weekend. Good to talk to you guys.
Thanks, guys. And stay tuned for more league updates and Football Ontario updates. But Darren, we thank you for your time and always appreciate it.
TYSN would like to thank Area 51 for its support of the Touchdown Ontario program.